Hey, I'm Lisa Singer, and welcome to Brand Insider BTS, where I get to pull back the curtain on some of the most influential women marketers today. And with me is Shari Day. She is the president and CEO of, I have to announce it, new name for your company, and it's Artists and Outlaws. Love the name. That's awesome. Well, first of all, welcome, Shari.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm excited to be on the show.
Yeah, and congrats on the new name. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but I first want to jump into, well, because I do love that new name, like, Artists and Outlaws. And I want to get into why you want your agency to be called that. But before that, I want to ask you, what does an outlaw mean to you? Like what's your kind of your definition of that? And then as a follow-up, because I always like to focus on you first, have you ever been an outlaw in your, personal life, let's say? Well, it could be involving your career, it could, but just on the personal side as opposed to work.
So, outlaws, don't think of it as something scary and mean, but it's actually something great and challenging. It's someone who's really pushing everything, pushing the envelope. There's no status quo. I mean, we're going to push, 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 and just bring great things out. As far as me personally, I think I probably came out of the womb as an outlaw. I mean, I literally probably came out speaking and saying, what's next? What are we going to do now? So I think it's just one of those things that's just really ingrained in my DNA.
Well, okay. So, which makes sense then why you would now, because what people may not know is you've worked at Bohan for many years, and
15.
3 years ago you took ownership.
Yes.
So now you decided, well, it's time for a name change. And so talk about that, why you wanted to do that, and why did you pick Artists and Outlaws?
Yeah, absolutely. So 3 years ago, and during that time period, as you can imagine, purchasing a company can have a lot of stress. So there was so much going on, and we closed on Halloween in 2022, which I don't know why I chose Halloween, maybe because I'm an outlaw. But
Well,
it
yeah,
was
and there's artistry there as well.
right, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I kept thinking about was, let's not rush on the name change. Let's give it some time and let's really spend some quality time with our people and define who we are. So if you look back in my career, all three agencies that I worked where I worked were all named after people. And that's a person. It doesn't really define the whole. And so for me, I wanted to take that deep dive. So anniversary one, which is just a side story. First anniversary, Halloween, and I'm an early bird, so I'm in the office by 6:30. I'm
Wow.
excited. We've purchased it. We're at our 1 year anniversary, and the entire building is flooded.
Oh my
And I'm
gosh.
walking through and I'm like, what have I done? What have I done? So at that point, it's like, you know what? Maybe it's time for us to just really have a coming out party and really understand who we are. And I didn't want to do it just from a singular voice. And honestly, Artists and Outlaws, it's magic, but they're not my words. But as soon as I heard them, I'm like, this is perfect. This is exactly who we are. And it took about a year for that entire process. It was a small group, but it was everyone that was really vested in the agency who had put so much time and effort into the success. And we really just wanted to stay away from that singular name of, whether it was one person who, it's a legacy brand too. So I wanted to be
Yeah.
respectful. I didn't want to do anything that was just coming out of the gates yelling, and I definitely knew I didn't want it to be my name. But we have great people. We have recruited all over. A lot of holding company talent is in our independent agency, which just I think makes us different. It's like we're here because we want to be here. We want to
Mhm.
do great work. And if you think about, artist as a craft, it's a craft that we do. Outlaw is really something about, just pushing every boundary we can and doing great work. So it just felt magical and it really describes who we are.
Yeah. And as you said, I mean, you were a legacy brand. I mean, you were known, especially in Nashville area, but even beyond.
Yes.
And that is a risk in some sense to change the name. It's just, is it going to be recognized as the same great place and even better? Like eh, going into that with those concerns at all, I
Right.
mean, I'm sure there was a number of them, but what made you keep plowing through, I guess?
Absolutely. I think the people, that's probably why I wanted to keep plowing through. I think for me, yes, there's risk, but I'm an outlaw, so I take calculated risks, right? And it was one of those where I really do believe in who we are, and I believe in the people, and I believe in the work. And I felt like it was worth that change. And it was something that we could be proud of, and that everyone, I mean, we have outdoor boards all over Nashville with our new name. I mean, it's like, it's just one of those where I think our people are excited and they want a fresh start. I mean, when you look at a name, whether it's Bohan or whether it's other agencies I worked with, which was three owners and their three last names.
Mhm.
It could be a law firm, it could be an insurance company. We're excited about what we do. We want to bring that craft forward.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And so, I mean, and you mentioned that you've worked for two other agencies beforehand.
Yeah.
So that's obviously where your career was set out to do. But I'm curious, even backing up, when you were in college, and I see your degree is marketing or it's in that realm. So you had this on your radar, but what were you really envisioning for yourself? Did you see yourself owning an agency? Did you see this kind of path? And talk about how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I think I've seen that path. Like I said, I think I came out as an outlaw. I've seen that path my entire life. And this is going to age me a little bit. When I was young, I used to watch Bewitched, and there was Darren Stevens, and he worked for an advertising agency and he was account executive. And you know what? They just beat his ass every day. They were yelling at him, screaming at him, but that didn't deter me. I'm like, I really want to do that. But I wanted to do it where I could learn everything about it. I think that's probably where I have that entrepreneurial spirit. I didn't want to just know how to be an account executive. I didn't want to know how to be an operations person. So when I started actually in production. So I was doing print ads. I went from that to broadcast. So I've been all over shooting commercials and photo shoots all over the world. Then I went into operations and I wanted to know how to run an agency. So I did all of that prior to prior to really pushing and knowing that this was going to be my path. I knew it was, but I wasn't sure how I was going to get there. But I think I was smart enough to know that I needed to learn more than I knew to get there.
Right. And I do think, I mean, I hear that a lot that, because people, they think, oh, I'm going to do this. And then, they sort of set their path or what they think their path should be. And it's not necessarily expanding beyond that. As you said, you want to get to this point. So why do you need to be making print ads? Why do you need to be,
Yeah.
running this side of things? And, but as leader, you need to know everything that's going on. So that's just such a great way to really actually know because you've done it yourself. And so
I have.
I'm curious in the sense of, because as you said, it was a long time ago when you were initially starting in the career, and the industry was, not so women friendly all the time. I mean, it was definitely more of a boys' club. I think it's changed a lot, although you do see disparities in terms of especially pay and women in leadership. But what were there challenges you faced as a woman? And, especially now today, as we're saying, you're now a woman-run agency.
Right.
Even bringing it today, but I'm talking about early on. Let's go there first. What was there a challenge that you faced early on as a woman that you realized, okay, how am I going to get through this? Because obviously you did.
Yeah. So, well, do we have a couple hours or maybe even a couple weeks to talk stories? I mean, I definitely started in a time frame, that was, I guess, 1985, somewhere in there. It definitely was a different world. We have come so far. So I want to say that completely. We've come a long way, but it
Mhm.
was difficult. I mean, I had to really fight for me.
Mm.
There were a lot of times where there wasn't very nice things that happened, but I was going to continue on and I was going to, prove that I had this. And I think probably the difference, I was raised with all boys, so I
Mhm.
never thought I couldn't do something that a boy could do, right? So that part was already in my head and I wasn't going to, nothing was going to stop me. But I think I had to find my voice and I had to compromise is not a good word, but I think compromise in how I achieved what I needed to achieve. And that might be hold my tongue at times, right? And maybe I needed to um, find a different way to express myself. And I think one of the things that really I found out early on is that when a again, this is 30 something years ago, when a woman has an opinion or has probably a mark to make or something that is part, they're smart enough to have a conversation. They're smart enough to lead a meeting. I had to get past that emotional part of someone else needed to do it for me, right?
Right.
I literally have been asked, why don't you go ahead and I've presented back in the early 80s. Why don't you go ahead and leave the room and we'll discuss it and then we'll
Really?
invite you back in. And it's like when I say I had to find my voice and kind of compromise, I literally that incident was probably one that I think about a lot over the years. I had just presented a big campaign and I was in a different country and I was the only woman at the table. So I
Hmm.
presented it, I walked through it and they're like, "Okay, well, we're finished. You can go on and, go shopping or something." And that was like the worst thing you could have said to me, "You can go shopping." So, I went around the table and there were three ring binders again. That's how old I am at this point. I went and I grabbed all the binders. They're like, no, 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 you can leave them. I'm like, no, they're mine. And if you need to know something, I probably should be here to talk about it.
Oh,
And so
good for
it was
you.
those types of situations that you went through, and that was a mild one, by the way, Lisa, but that was just one that kind of defines with you've got to figure out, how do you stand up for yourself? How do you speak with that confidence? And I'm a very confident person, but you have to learn a different language, I think, during that time period. And for me, to watch us all grow and to watch some of the most successful women out there, it's been amazing what's happened over the last 30 years. And I'm proud that I have been able to be a part of that journey.
Yeah. Well, and I love that because I was curious what you were going to say. I mean, the way you were leading into it, I'm like, well, did she leave? Like maybe she did. She at least got her point out. And so, but then that you didn't get mad and huff and say, no, I'm not leaving.
Yeah,
So, but you kind of, as you said, met in the middle a little bit
yeah,
where, all right, you guys talk about it, but I'm taking my toys. However you want to
yeah,
word it, in the sense of, and I think that that is even good advice today. I mean, hopefully
for
a
sure.
woman's not experiencing that exact kind of situation, but women today still, especially maybe younger women, will still get a little of that. And so what do you advise them? It sounds because you were creative about how you responded and you didn't let emotions take over. So what do you tell that young woman today who may experience, hopefully not as bad as
Right.
that, but something similar?
But I think your point, you use the perfect word, emotions. And I think that there is, and it's still a little bit here today, definitely was back in the 80s. Um, you would be accused of being emotional.
Mm,
So and I think that's like the worst thing you could say to me. It's like that's horrible. Like I am literally smart. I'm here at this table. You can learn from me, I can learn from you, but don't tell me that I'm being emotional.
right.
That's one of those where I just can't stand that word. But I think one of the things that I try to really instill in young women is have a poker face. You know what you have. Have a poker face. Don't let them see. Don't let them bring any emotion out of you that you don't want them to see. So you go in there, you know your stuff, present it, sell it, close it, and be you and be true to yourself. But don't have a poker face. That's my big advice that I give.
So, and by poker face, you mean so maybe you hurt my feelings, maybe you angered me, maybe you
Right.
did
Yeah.
whatever,
Don't let
whatever
them
your
see it.
response meant to me. This is what they're going to see.
Yeah. Don't let them see it.
Right.
Because you're gonna get your feelings hurt. You're gonna get pissed off. You're gonna be upset. Don't let them see it.
Right.
That actually helps you sell yourself better, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think that we can take things personally. I mean, I
Yeah.
know I'm probably queen of that. Someone looks at me the wrong way and maybe they were just looking at the bird behind me, but like it's like
Right.
people will respond that way. And I do think that that is really good advice. But at the same point, keep being yourself. Keep
Right. Be true.
back off. Don't, say, okay, then, like stand your ground. But at the same point, don't really let them, see that exact emotion that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's really, I think, really good advice, and I think it stands over time. I think there's going to be levels of it, as you said. You said even ones that you don't want to share, that you face even worse things that maybe happened to you as a woman,
Yeah.
and but every day we're going to face something. Someone is going to at some point and have to deal with it. And and even men, the same thing. It's not, it's not just a woman issue. When something happens where it's impacting, undermining you, I guess would be the word, you need to just be confident in yourself, but move
Yes.
forward.
Totally agree. And I think the other thing that we've come a long way with, I think women used to be very competitive of each other, which is kind of sad. And I think that has moved on. I think we're more embracing and less competitive than we used to be 30 years ago.
Yeah, no, I do agree, and I see that. Because I know I talk to a lot of women, and everyone is so much wanting to mentor and help the next woman
Right.
come up. In broadcast, in my business, I didn't necessarily see a lot of that, and I think it's because there's only so many slots, and so maybe for women.
Right.
And so maybe that's part of it. And it's just, I think you think of it as more of a threat. I don't know what it is. And I love that I'm seeing women like yourself now who are wanting to pay it forward, are wanting to help, or if not even pay it forward, maybe you didn't have that opportunity with women mentors. I'm curious, because you did start earlier, were you looking for that woman that you could exemplify, that you could sort of
Yeah.
your goal could be?
Absolutely. And I don't think I really found it till later in my career, which is, to my point, I think it used to be very competitive. And so I didn't really find that until later in my career. And honestly, I find it more now, and I love it. We have so many smart women who work in our office, and it's so much fun to look at how they're so different than I was. And
Mhm.
there's definitely more confidence, but there's also they need that mentorship, that especially someone who's seen a lot of stuff. And so I just have fun with it with them. And I think, the other thing, and I don't know if this is in your any of your questions, but um, I was a single mother, and I probably put more in my career and less into my child, which he's perfect. He's great. My kids are wonderful. But I made choices and I missed a lot of events. I mean, one of the events I missed was my son. He got the most valuable player in hockey, and I was coming on a plane trying to get home to the event. But, I didn't, at that time, I had to prove myself. So
Right.
my goal right now with young mothers is to help them find that balance. You don't want to miss anything. You can have both. And at times you're going to give more to one than you are
Yep.
the other, but it will balance itself out. But I can remember, as a young mother, afraid to walk in and tell my supervisor that I needed to go pick up my child because he had a fever at school. And that is the one thing I will drill into young mothers here. Don't you ever, you get that phone call, you can send me a text from the car. Go pick up your child. I mean, I think just having that support system now is so much different than it used to be.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point though. It's not, I don't believe work-life balance is really what you can achieve, but it balances itself out. I think the
It
way
does.
one time at certain times of your life, you're going to be more about your family because maybe certain things are going on. Another time, maybe there's a lot going on at work, and that's where your efforts are going to go. But in general, to have the opportunity to do both, which is something you didn't feel you
Yeah.
had when you were first starting out.
And
So
you don't have to make a choice. You can do it.
yeah, no, I agree. So what is it? Is there something people get wrong about you when they first meet you?
Oh, wow. Something people get wrong about me. Yeah, I will tell you. So, I do have a lesson from a boss that I didn't like, but it was probably the best lesson. I am very direct, which can be uncomfortable, and it's not. I'm not mean at all, but I can be very direct. I'm very decisive. If it's on my mind, I'm going to say it. It's going to be out there, and I think that unnerves people at times. So, I think one of the best pieces of advice that helped me with that is the boss that I didn't quite like that much. And I was probably 25 years old. He called me into his office and he said, "Everybody in this building thinks you're the biggest bitch." And I
Oh,
was
yeah.
mortified. mortified. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, absolutely not. He goes, I want you to try one thing. He goes, you take your job seriously and you just want to go get it done and you're going 90 miles an hour to get it done. When you walk into someone's office and you're looking for, let's say it's an estimate. Hey, do you have that estimate? He goes, why don't you stop and say, hey, how are you today?
Right.
How's it going? How's the kids? Then you can say, can I have my estimate?
Yep.
And it was probably one of the best pieces of advice because people were seeing me because of that directness as just maybe rude is the which is absolutely not who I am. But
Right.
that's the way it would come off because I'm just getting a job done. And so I literally tell that story to this day. And that was what I don't even know how many years that was, 30 something years ago. Um, but it's just, I think that's one thing that sometimes if people don't know me and the first impression is that directness and very decisive and it's like, whoa, who is this person?
Hmm. Well, and I think, I mean, coming from the East Coast, I have a little of that. I think when I first moved to California, it was sort of like, okay, I don't want to chat with you in line. You know what I mean? Like whatever it may
Right,
be. And
right.
it does. And I'm sure for someone who is used to that, it becomes where, okay, she's a bitch or she's this or not.
Yes,
And you do sort of, and you get in your head, okay, this is my goal to accomplish. So you kind of keep going and you got to back it up, as you said, whether it's asking them how they're doing or just making conversation and sort of working your way in instead of just, what do you got? You know?
right. And me stopping and asking that, it's not that it's not genuine. I
Oh,
just
you,
didn't think about it before. I
yeah.
needed someone to stop me and say, you know, people have feelings.
Hmm.
See how they're doing today. Check the
Yeah.
temperature, then get your job done.
Yeah, no, and people come from all different areas and the different attitudes, and just, not one better than the other, but it's just you got to kind of feel that out, especially now where we are working so much in different, not only in different parts of the country, but different
Right.
parts of the world. So you have to consider everyone else and not just your own, this is what I need to do. So, but no, I can understand that kind of that mentality. So, all right, I want to go. I always, as I say, do my snooping. And you were quoted saying, this is when you're talking about the launch of the new name of your agency, and you wrote, I can say without doubt that I and each of my team members have the heart of an artist and the
Mhm.
spirit of an outlaw. So we've already talked about you as an outlaw and what
Yeah.
that means to you. So what is the heart of an artist? And then not necessarily, well, I'll ask you, is there any artist in you? But also, is there an artist like when you think of someone, whether it could be musically or painter or whatever, architecture, but an artist that really makes you feel.
Yeah, so two questions there. I think the first is the reason that Artists and Outlaws is perfect for us is because I think if you truly want to be in our industry and you want to be working in an advertising agency, you have to have both. You have a little bit of both in you.
Hmm.
Even if you're in finance, right? We make everyone come to the table. So we're not siloed. I might not be a great copywriter. I may not be a good art director, but that doesn't mean that I can't feel and see something from the craft standpoint and be a part of it.
Yep.
And I think to me, the craft part of it, and I know we're not really talking a lot about the agency itself, but are we investing in AI? Absolutely. We're investing, we're embracing it, we're not running from it. But the one thing that I don't want to lose is the craft. I think
Mhm.
that's what draws us to this industry. And I think that's what makes us an artist. And it makes us an outlaw too, because we have to fight for it.
Yep. Yep. No, and I think I hear that. I think most people, at least that I'm speaking with, which maybe they're more on the creatives, but you need that human touch. AI is
Yes,
wonderful. I mean, I use it. I think, I think it's
absolutely.
something that it helps to make things easier, gets things for you that might have taken so much longer hours to achieve. That said, you always need to look at it more and then make it yours or make it the brand you work or whatever you have to have that human touch. You can't, I think, have one without the other.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's perfect for us. It's magic. As far as my favorite, I will tell you, it's not in my industry, but it's Frank Lloyd Wright.
Mm.
I mean, just incredible. The architecture, the buildings, the it's just, and I'm a bit OCD and I like structure and I like things. But if you look at the lines and the stuff that he built and designed over the years, just beautiful work.
Yeah, no, I think that's what, no, how about you? Do you have any artistic talents?
Well, I think I do. And then um I feel like I have a good eye. And that's the one thing I think with all the experience I have over the years, I have a good eye. I can't draw it, I can't write it, but I can help create it. And I think I can bring a lot to the table. And then the other part of being an artist is the strategy, right?
Mhm.
So you're really trying to define the customer and really build that persona and that character. And then what you build from a creative standpoint has to come together and intersect with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I see that. So, it's not like I think when people think of being an artist, if someone asks me, I'm like, no, not really, because I can't draw. I can't, you know what I mean? So, but there's artistry in so many different ways. It's
Yeah.
not just about what we, usually think it is. Well, speaking of talents or hidden talents, is there anything that people would be surprised to know about you? And as I said, maybe it's a hidden talent, maybe it's just something you enjoy doing, whatever it may be, but sort of a hidden talent that not too many, or a hidden trait that people don't necessarily know about you.
Okay. So if it's a hidden talent, it's probably I'm a deer hunter, which might offend some people, but I've been doing it with my dad since I was probably 7 years old. I've been in a deer stand. So my that's one that I feel like is a talent. I love it. Um, and then something that somebody probably wouldn't know about me is I don't like my food to touch.
Really?
Yeah. I like it to be separated.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's kind of like I mean, when you talked about your little, I forget how you termed it, like where, when you're talking about why the kind of art you like and seeing that
Yeah.
kind of creative, you like things orderly. You like things,
Yes.
does that go along with that and why you just don't want the food to touch, or
Absolutely.
you think it doesn't taste as good?
It doesn't. You have to do it separately and one at a time.
Huh. Okay. It's a like monk, isn't that monk?
Yes, very much. I said I'm kind of a little bit OCD, so
That's I was thinking that's what you said, but I didn't want to put
yes.
just in case it wasn't. I
No,
didn't
no,
want to
no, I
say that
am.
about you. Okay, so yeah, all right. I actually, though, I don't, I'm okay with the touching, but I always will save. Like some people want to eat the best first.
Yeah.
Whatever tastes the best, I put a little piece. I want that to be my last bite, so I
Last
always
bite.
kind of save.
Absolutely get that. Perfect.
So that's a little okay. If you could hit rewind and relive just one day in your life, what day would it be?
You know, that's an interesting question, and I think I don't know that I would change anything because it's definitely been a challenge over the years, but everything, even the things that I'd want to change, I wouldn't because I've learned from them. I think the biggest one, though, if I have to give you an answer on, I don't have to, but if I want to give you an answer on that, is, I would say probably about 15 years ago, I was changing from one agency to the other, and I probably waited too long and um, probably longer than I should have, and I probably let some people down
Mm,
because it was just not a good situation. But as I said, I'm so loyal and I stayed just because I was trying to protect people and clients. And if I could rewind that, it's probably I would do that differently.
okay. Well, it's funny you took it. See, and then that again is perception. I was meaning, I didn't want to stop you. My question, I was meaning, it was such a great day, you'd like to relive it again.
Oh, yes. I love that.
So, do you
Love
have an answer
that.
for that one?
Yeah. I, personally or professionally?
It could go, if it's professionally, I want it to be about you still. So not like, oh, we got this major ad account or
Yeah.
something like that. It has to be about you. But so it can be either personally or professionally. But I want it to, I mean, it'll be related to your career, but it has to still be
Yeah.
personal.
I think if I could rewind, we had it was about the job too, but we had an incredible campaign for a client. We won lots of awards, and I know that's not what you're asking. And then that client was gone for a while, And then about, I guess, March of this year, I got the phone call and the client, and this is just me personally, client said, we loved everything about that campaign. Would you consider working with us again? And
Oh,
it
that's
was like one of those where you just like you realize that all of the hard work that you've done, and that's just one example because there are great examples of moments within my career, but it's one of those where all of a sudden you just get to hear that,
nice.
and it was a campaign that I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into, and
Yeah,
something I believed in a whole lot. Um, and for it to get that phone call, and it was one of those where it's like, you know what, you really have worked hard. You really have had a great career, and you've had a lot of success in your life, and this is what it's supposed to feel like.
yeah. No, that's so nice. And I'm curious though, because you said you hadn't heard from them in a while.
Yeah.
What were you thinking in that time? Like, did your head go like they don't like us? They are not happy with us
No,
anymore?
it was a different set of circumstances. They were purchased, it's a different industry, so you don't use the word purchase. They were rolled up into a larger group, and so
Hmm.
they went with a more corporate type of messaging. So it wasn't anything that we did wrong.
Knew that.
Yeah, yeah. So it was one of those where it's like, shoot, I hate that that happened, but it's one of those, literally, I spent so much of my life during that time period because it took 6 months to work through that campaign where I jumped out of an airplane with a patient because we were filming it at the same time.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
like one of those where it's like, you just feel it. You're so vested. This is the right thing. This isn't one of those where you're trying to sell a widget. This is something you're selling an emotion.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot. It was a great, and to get that phone call was a
Yeah,
great.
no, that's wonderful. And I only asked that because we do take that you knew, which is great that you knew there was a situation and that's why it was happening. Whereas sometimes when you hear, you get crickets or you just don't hear from
Oh yeah, yeah.
a person or whoever anymore, a company, and it's just like, oh my gosh, they hate me. They didn't, or whatever. Your head goes in a lot of ways. They weren't happy with my
Yeah.
work, and then, then you maybe run into them, or 3 years later they reach out and they're just like, oh my gosh, we want you to do this, And so I think and maybe that's just my tendency, but I feel like it's a lot of people's, especially women's tendency to maybe take it a little bit more personally than
Internalize it.
the situation. Yes.
Yeah,
So I love that
exactly.
that didn't
And,
happen to you.
and honestly, in our industry, that happens a lot. I mean, it's unfortunate, and there's ghosting, there's things where they're out of your control and they happen, but we all still take it personally because, we're in a job that is very much about us.
Yeah, no, so I'm a little, I like respond to like, emails of like, just, I've stopped doing that, but even like, people just selling, whatever. And I'm like, well, I have to pitch sometimes and I like a response, so
Nice.
I sometimes I have to kind of stop myself because then I'm just like, just totally not using my time wisely. And maybe it's just because I internalize it myself. So I always feel bad. I always feel like I have to like let someone know, or I'm big on goodbyes. I'm big on like having to
Yes.
having to have closure, I guess is the way to put it. So all right, what's your guilty pleasure?
Whiskey, Irish whiskey.
Oh yeah? Okay. How do you drink it? Just straight up
Straight,
or
just straight.
wow, okay. Well, so I mean, because I'm not whiskey's a little tough for me. Like, like it's like,
Yeah.
"Ugh." So I'm not, but I see all different, there's so many different kinds of whiskeys. And so is there a particular kind that you like or you
Jameson Irish whiskey. I'm a Jameson girl for probably 40 years.
really? All
Mhm.
right. Okay. So that's your guilty pleasure. That sounds great. Last question. What is the best advice you've ever received in your career?
The best advice. Well, I think I touched on that a little while ago with the one
Oh,
about,
yes, yes, yes. With you. Okay, so let's go with the worst.
okay, the worst advice. I think I touched on that too, which was to stay on course. Don't
Right.
falter. And
Okay. So completely disregard that last question. And I have one more last question.
okay, let's hear it.
Okay. We all have big wins, what our goals are. I'm sure you have plans for your agency 5, 10 years from now.
Yeah.
What's your daily win? When you
My
get
daily.
your daily, when you get home at night, you put your head down, not about, it can relate to work, but not about, oh, we did this, but what do you, when you sit down and you're done and have your whiskey,
Yeah.
what's the win for you?
The win for me is that I can leave the day knowing that I did the best and I gave the best support to our people, and that we, at the end of the day, checked off our boxes on everything we needed to do and we could do that was in our control, and that we left to go home to our families and just wait for the next day and start over.
That's a good win. Yeah. All right. Well, Sherry, thank you so much. This was such a pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for watching. And if you know anyone, any fabulous marketer like Sherry, please let me know and I will do my best to pull back the curtain on her. So again, thanks for watching and thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.